Hey everybody, hope this finds you doing well. This is Danelle here at Networkchain. Today we're going to talk about some of the biggest news stories in crypto over the past week, as well as the crypto market update. Let's go ahead and get into it. The demand is going crazy, continues to grow into Bitcoin, and we'll get into that in a moment. As you can see, Bitcoin is currently trading at $69,441, up 3.69% over the past week. Ethereum basically trading at around the same level, currently trading just under that $2,500 range. It is at 2,487. You see BNB is at 567, down 2.6%. Solana actually down a little bit, 2.88% over the past week after going up above 175 earlier in the week. It's at 164. XRP still in that 50-cent range, basically staying flat. Dogecoin had gotten up to around 17 cents over the past week. It has now come back down a little bit, but it's still up nearly 16% over the past 7 days. You have Tron, Toncoin, and Cardano rounding out the top 11. So if we look at Bitcoin a little bit more closely, as you can see, year to date, it is up over 57%, currently trading at $69,000. And you can see that it's still range bound basically between that $55,000 to $72,000 range. And it's basically been doing that since March of this year. So we're looking to see if Bitcoin will actually be able to hit the all-time highs. It was very close to hitting the all-time highs over the past week at over $73,000, but it didn't quite make it there. We're looking to see if it can get there over the next couple of weeks, as we have a lot of news coming in over the next couple of weeks, especially with the U.S. Presidential election on November 5th. And a lot of people are looking to see what's going to happen with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, as well as the overall market in stocks and equities, as well as we go into a new presidential term in 2025. And also another bit of news over this past week, the Bitcoin white paper turned 16 on October 31st, 2024. It was released in 2008. October 31st, 2008 is when Satoshi Nakamoto released the Bitcoin white paper known as Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, which basically outlines the code and how Bitcoin was started and how it can be used as a peer-to-peer network without having a intermediary, a third party, a trustless system that now is growing obviously worldwide. Definitely, I would say, if you can, give it a read. Some of it is pretty technical, but there are also parts that are pretty easy to understand. So it's definitely worthwhile just to have a better understanding of the ethos behind Bitcoin. So one of the biggest news stories over the past week is that the Florida CFO was on CNBC, and he talked about his push into crypto. He actually has endorsed cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and he believes that it is a viable asset that the state of Florida and the pension fund should considering as an investment vehicle. He wrote a letter to the State Board of Administration of Florida to consider crypto and Bitcoin. And Florida also already owns $800 million worth of crypto investments, and they're actually looking to invest more. And he says, and he said in that interview, that crypto is going nowhere. As you can see here, it's not going to contract. It's going to continue to be expanding. And I think we'd be a fool if we're not prepared to do everything we can to harness the opportunities there. So as we've been saying on our X posts as well as our IG posts, that the demand is continuing to grow. The herd is coming. We're still in the early innings, so to speak, in terms of where we are with regards to the demand that's coming into the cryptocurrency space, particularly with Bitcoin. And we're seeing that more institutions, more hedge funds, states, if Florida does end up adding more Bitcoin to their balance sheet and pension funds start to invest in Bitcoin in Florida, they would join Wisconsin, as well as I believe it's Michigan also, that has already invested in Bitcoin. We know that Emory University just recently invested in Bitcoin as well. They're the first endowment that has invested in Bitcoin. So it just goes to show that we're just in the beginning stages. These are only a few states out of 50 states in the United States. Obviously, we know other countries like El Salvador, Bhutan, which has accumulated a lot of Bitcoin through mining, has also accumulated a ton of Bitcoin. So we're just getting started in terms of different countries, different states in the United States, larger institutions and hedge funds, as well as people like me and you who continue to buy into Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. Remember, this is a finite hard asset. So because of that, as the demand continues to grow with this limited supply, that's only going to cause the price of Bitcoin to continue to go up. The Bitcoin ETFs also reached a major milestone. They now hold over 1 million, BTC on behalf of its clients who have bought into the Bitcoin ETFs. And you can see that they took in nearly $900 million last week on last Wednesday. And now the funds cumulatively now hold over 1 million Bitcoin. So they're now actually coming close to the amount of Bitcoin that Satoshi Nakamoto has. We have on record that Satoshi has approximately 1.1 million Bitcoin, which is worth nearly almost $70 billion at the time of this recording. And so we're looking to see that the spot Bitcoin ETFs, if they continue to have the inflows that they've had, particularly over the last several weeks, they should actually reach over that 1.1 million milestone over the next several weeks, if not definitely most likely before the end of 2024. So you can see here that it pulled in $893 million in one day. They've had some record-breaking inflows. Just generally speaking, as an ETF as a whole, it's done incredibly well this year. The year isn't even over, and it's broken records in terms of how much inflows the Bitcoin ETFs have had in 2024. And as you can see here, Bitcoin was just $175 away from hitting the all-time price. It is getting close. We have pulled back a little bit since it hit $73,000. We're now at that $69,000 range. So we're looking to see if it can hold above that $7,000 range, and will continue to go up. Obviously, a lot is going to be coming up over the next week with the U.S. election, as I mentioned. So we will see if Bitcoin is able to get above that $73,000 and head towards $80,000 before the end of the year. MicroStrategy, which we've talked about plenty on this channel, you can see that they recently unveiled this past week at their earnings call that they are going to be trying to raise $42 billion to acquire more Bitcoin. They already have the most Bitcoin out of any public company outside of the Bitcoin ETFs. They own over 252,000 Bitcoin, and they're looking to buy another 42 billion. So once again, this is more demand that's going to be coming into the Bitcoin market. So as you can see, they announced a 3-year plan between 2025 and 2027 to raise this $42 billion to buy more Bitcoin. They're calling it the 2121 plan in honor of the 21 million Bitcoin that is out in, or will be out in circulation, and when it's all mined. And at current prices, that would be 578,000 Bitcoin. Obviously, we're going to have fluctuations in Bitcoin, so potentially they could have more than that or less than that if Bitcoin continues to go up higher over the next 3 years. But they have done very well in terms of providing more Bitcoin per share as they continue to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet for their shareholders. As you can see, they generated 17.8 Bitcoin year to date, and forecast that the annual yield will be between 6 and 10% over the next 3 years. So they obviously are very heavy in Bitcoin, continue to plan on buying more Bitcoin. Their founder, Michael Saylor, continues to do tons and tons of interviews to basically be a Bitcoin evangelist. Well, he is considered a Bitcoin evangelist in terms of how he talks about Bitcoin. He's very transparent in what MicroStrategy is trying to do, considering that fiat currency continues to be inflated. It doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. So he's using his position, and MicroStrategy is using their position as a public company to be able to raise these funds using fiat currency. And given that Bitcoin continues to go up against the US dollar, that they will be able to acquire hundreds, most likely hundreds of thousands more Bitcoin over the next several years. So there's a lot going on, obviously, in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market. Crypto has definitely seen a leg up over the last week or two. We'll see if it'll continue to do so over the next several weeks, particularly going into the end of the year. We finished October as a positive month. And so we're looking to see if November and December will follow in October's footsteps. As usual, you can stay posted with us nearly every day on X as well as IG. We post there nearly every day. So we thank you for watching this video and keeping up with us here on YouTube as well as on X and IG. In the meantime, take care. We look forward to linking up with you soon on the Networkchain. Bye-bye.